Welcome back to Investing Talk Podcast. We are diving into a company that's been front of mind for, well, every investor for the last few years. But now it faces the big question. How does a one-hit wonder become a diversified, sustainable biotech leader?
That is the entire story for Moderna right now. The pandemic phase is receding, and the focus is squarely on execution. So we're going to drill down into their path to cash break-even and critically look at the strength and, frankly, the high-stakes nature of their pipeline catalysts.
Absolutely.
This is all about using a massive cash hoard to fund the next generation of medicine.
And that cash hoard is key. As usual, before we start, subscribe, like, and comment to this video to support the show and help us bring you more in-depth research. All right, let's start with the basics, because the financial health of this company really dictates the speed of this whole pivot. When we look at the recent results, specifically 2025, they reported $1.9 billion in revenue. What does that number really tell us?
Well, what stands out right away is that they actually exceeded their prior guidance by about $100 million. Now, that might not sound huge in the pharma world, but it's a very strong signal. It tells us commercial execution is improving and the revenue mix is stabilizing.
Tell us more about that mix. It can't just be the flagship product anymore, right?
Correct. The revenue is now coming from an expanded portfolio. You've got Spikevax, their main COVID shot, but also mNEX Spike for new variants, and Mrezvia, their RSV candidate.
Right.
The fact they can generate almost $2 billion outside of that peak pandemic spending, it shows their products are becoming part of the regular seasonal health strategy.
Okay, so that covers stability. But for investors to get back on board, they need to see growth. After those huge revenue spikes a few years ago, is it even realistic to expect growth now?
It is, and this is where the strategy really starts to come into focus. Projections are pointing toward nearly 10% revenue growth in 2026.
Per se.
And this isn't about another pandemic. This is driven by diversification. We're talking geographic expansion.
So new markets.
Exactly. Locking in long-term contracts in the UK, Canada, Australia, and of course, launching those new combination seasonal shots that everyone's waiting for.
That sounds good on paper, but moving from a massive emergency-funded operation to a disciplined biotech that takes serious belt-tightening. How realistic is their target of getting to cash break-even?
That's a great question, a skeptical but necessary one. They are being really aggressive on cost discipline. JAP operating expenses are projected to be around $4.9 billion for 2026. But the main goal, the one they're staking everything on, is hitting cash break even by 2028. And analysts, William Blair, for instance, have actually been impressed. They see management delivering on that promise to right-size the company.
Well, we've seen this movie before, right? Biotechs promise discipline, then R&D costs just balloon once they hit phase 3.
Yeah.
What's the safety net here?
The balance sheet. That's the ultimate answer. This is the company's biggest stabilizer. Moderna ended 2025 with $8.1 billion in cash and investment.
$8.1 billion.
And if you add in a $1.5 billion term loan, their total liquidity is a staggering $9 billion.
$9 billion. That's not just a cushion. That feels like a strategic war chest.
That is precisely the right way to frame it. This isn't money just sitting there. It's fuel. This liquidity lets them push that ambitious, high-stakes pipeline forward without having to dilute shareholders every time they need cash.
Which is critical, especially for their speculative oncology bets.
Exactly. It lets them absorb a few failures, fund massive trials, and still keep their eye on that 2028 break-even target. It just buys them time and options.
So speaking of funding, let's talk about their competitive moat. Why Moderna over, say, a legacy pharma giant that also makes vaccines?
The primary moat is the proprietary mRNA platform technology itself. It's not just a few patents, it's an entire infrastructure advantage. Legacy pharma really struggles with the complexity and the time it takes to develop new combination vaccines.
So what does the platform actually do that others can't?
Speed and flexibility. Their platform allows for just incredible speed to market, especially for creating things like a flu and COVID shot in one dose. That ability to quickly pivot and combine antigens is protected by IP, and, well, legacy platforms just can't replicate it that fast.
And that creates high switching costs for partners, I imagine.
Absolutely. It's why a program like the MRNA 4157 Keytruda oncology combo with Merck is so locked in, they can't just go somewhere else for that tech.
So it sounds like the $9 billion is being used to amplify that moat pushing into oncology and rare diseases instead of just, doing stock buybacks.
That's the clear signal. They're prioritizing platform growth over capital return right now, which is exactly what a high-growth, biotech with this kind of balance sheet should be doing.
All right, let's leave the steady numbers behind and look at how the market is actually reacting to all this. We need to shift our focus now to the stock's recent price action.
And what's remarkable is how swift and decisive the reaction has been. We saw a sharp, 12% surge right after they confirmed those strong 2025 projections. Then, just days later, another 15% jump after their updates at the JPM Healthcare Conference.
That is a violent move for a stock that's been in the penalty box for the better part of a year. That pretty much confirms a technical breakout, doesn't it?
It does. We're now seeing a clear pattern of higher highs. The momentum is building fast. I saw Barron's technical analysis summarized it perfectly. They said the strength is only beginning.
Interesting.
Which suggests this could be a sustained trend, fueled by real conviction, not just a short squeeze.
And crucially, did this hold up? Did these gains just happen because the whole market was rising?
No, and that's a huge positive sign. This strong buying happened even while the S&P and NASDAQ were dipping, so it confirms the momentum is specific to Moderna's story, not just the market tide lifting all boats.
That strong technical signal really fits well with how the market is qualitatively perceiving the company. Let's move into market sentiment.
Yeah, quantitatively, the weighted market sentiment is decidedly bullish. It's averaging around 0.40. And if you drill down, 5 out of 7 of the most relevant news items were scored as bullish or somewhat bullish. The street is turning positive again.
What's the specific catalyst for that shift? Is it just the cost cuts, or is it something bigger, more forward-looking?
Oh, it's overwhelmingly the forward-looking part. It's all about those JPM updates. Analysts are zeroing in on pipeline progress, the expected 2026 flu COVID approvals, and most importantly, those critical oncology readouts.
So the analysts are buying the story. We thought Seeking Alpha maintained a speculative buy rating. William Blair was impressed. But the real multi-billion-dollar shift in valuation comes from those speculative aha moments. Where are those?
They are entirely in the oncology pipeline. This is where that $9 billion war chest earns its keep. The catalysts that could unlock that kind of upside are all concentrated in 2026. We're looking for 2 huge data drops. First, the 5-year phase 23 melanoma data for Moran combined with Keytruda.
Okay.
And second, the phase 2 data for MRNA 4359.
And those results aren't just small improvements. They could rewrite the immunology playbook if they're successful. The market isn't fully pricing that in yet, is it?
Not fully, not even close. That's why we're seeing this dynamic. Success here would transform Moderna from just a vaccine company with cash into a genuine, highly differentiated oncology powerhouse.
And that data is the key driver for that 2x or 3x upside potential.
It is the single most important factor.
That puts the focus squarely on the clock.
Yeah.
Moving into our next segment, let's map out the near-term events, the catalyst calendar. What do investors need to watch for in the next 3 months?
The immediate checkpoint is the Q4 and full year 2025 earnings report.
Yeah.
That's expected late January or early February 2026. And because they already pre-confirmed that strong $1.9 billion revenue number, there's a pretty high chance they could beat consensus earnings estimates.
Which usually gives the stock a nice little bump.
An immediate positive bump, yes.
And beyond the financials, what should we be looking for after all the JPM conference buzz dies down?
Keep an eye out for follow-up investor calls. We want more detail on the manufacturing ramp-up for those seasonal combo products. And we should also be watching for any early regulatory updates on the new flu vaccine, or maybe even some soft teases on the oncology data.
What about the macro environment? Does it even support taking a big risk on innovative biotech right now?
Actually, yes. The macro backdrop is becoming very supportive. 2025 saw a huge surge in biotech M&A, about $64 billion in deals.
Right.
And as interest rates start to stabilize, you're seeing capital rotate back toward undervalued innovators. A company like Moderna, with its unique platform and strong balance sheet, is perfectly positioned to catch that sector tailwind.
Okay, we've built a powerful bullish case here. It's all driven by cash and these high-stakes pipeline bets. But no investment is a sure thing. We have to transition to our risk assessment. Where is the bear case strongest?
And this raises the most important question. Can management flawlessly execute on 2 huge things at once? Cost discipline and clinical success. The top operational risks are clear. First, you have near-term revenue volatility. Lingering COVID and RSV demand hesitancy, that's a constant threat.
And then there's the elephant in the room, the execution risk on the pipeline itself.
Precisely. Analysts accurately call this a high-risk recovery because there is very high execution risk with those 2026 oncology catalysts. If that melanoma data disappoints, or if the mRNA 4359 readout is a dud, the stock will face significant pressure.
Regardless of how well the vaccine business is doing.
Regardless. And you also have to factor in the general market. If the S&P and NASDAQ keep dipping, that's a headwind too.
So if those trials fail, what's the floor? How does that $9 billion stop the stock from completely collapsing?
That liquidity is the ultimate mitigation. Remember, the company's already been significantly derated post-pandemic, so a lot of negativity is already priced in. But that $9 billion in cash, plus their cost controls, provides a really robust financial floor. It means they can survive multiple oncology setbacks and still fund their operations without needing to panic and dilute shareholders.
That brings us to the synthesis of all these parts and our final verdict.
If we connect all the dots, you see a company that has stabilized its financials while funding a potentially transformative oncology push. We're assigning a bullish score, 8 out of 10.
An 8. Okay, give us the elevator pitch from Moderna right now.
Moderna's proprietary mRNA moat positions it for sustained 10% plus revenue growth in 2026. This comes from new combination vaccines and pivotal oncology catalysts. This whole high-stakes transition is backed by $9 billion in liquidity and a credible, disciplined path to break even by 2028.
And the recent stock surge just confirms that ultimate shift.
Exactly. The 12–15% jumps confirm the market is buying into this story again.
So what does this all mean for the patient investor looking for the best returns?
Despite some near-term volatility from the seasonal business, the 2026 oncology data readouts offer just immense upside. The recommendation is a multi-year hold into those 2026 catalysts. For patient long-term investors, we see the potential for a 2x or even 3x return.
So the ultimate question for an investor is, are you betting on the stability of the vaccine business or the long-shot but potentially life-changing oncology pipeline? Where is the market treating the stock right now? Safe bet or pure speculation?
Right now, the valuation is caught right in the middle, which is exactly why the entry point is so compelling.
Fascinating breakdown. Make sure you subscribe to Investing Talk podcast so you don't miss our next deep dive into the market.